Hello class and welcome to section 8.6, Solving Rational Equations. This is day one of our Solving Rational Equations notes. So we're going to look at an example. A music download service advertised downloads for $1 per song. The service also charges a monthly access fee of $15. If a customer downloads songs in 1 month, the bill in dollars will be, it's going to be, well, if it's $15 plus $1 per song, it'd be 15 plus 1x. Okay, so that's the same as 15 plus x. So the actual cost, if I wanted to figure out per song, would be taking the total bill divided by the number of songs. Okay, so example 1 says, how many songs a person would need to download? How many songs would a person need to download to make the actual cost per song be $1.25? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this equation that we have here and we're going to set it equal to $125. Sorry, $1.25. So I would have 15 plus x over x, and that's going to equal 125. Okay, so in order to solve this one, I will go ahead and multiply both sides by x. Those will cancel, so I have 15 plus x is equal to $1.25x. And if I wanted to solve for x, I would first subtract x from both sides. So I have 15 is equal to 0.25x. Just rewriting here. And then in order to solve for x, I would divide both sides by 0.25. On my calculator, 15 divided by 0.25 would be 60. So you would need to download 60 songs in order for your average cost to be $1.25 per song. This is an example of a rational equation, okay? And so we probably want to know, well, what is a rational equation? A rational equation is an equation that contains one or more rational expressions. So remember, rational means that it's written as a ratio or as a fraction. Okay, so like I said, one example would be my 15 plus x over x is equal to 1.25. That's one example of a rational equation. Another one, maybe a little more complex looking one, would be x squared minus 5x plus 4 over x minus 4 is equal to 2. Okay, so there is my rational equation. So let's move on. We are going to be solving rational equations today. And what we're going to need to do in order to solve them is use common multiples. Okay, so to solve rational equations, you will need to eliminate the denominators, which is good because you guys don't like to work with fractions anyways. So then we can go ahead and eliminate them. You can do this by multiplying both sides of the equation by the least common multiple of the denominators. Okay, so least common multiple of the denominators. And we've been working on finding least common multiples. Okay, so the least common multiple of the denominators is then, if we're talking about it in terms of finding the least common multiple of the denominator, it's what we call the least common denominator, and I will refer to it as the LCD. Okay, so let's go ahead and just look at our first example 2. So the first thing we want to do is find the LCD of all the terms. Okay, well, the LCD is the same as the LCM. So look at this one. Well, there's 1, 5 here, 1, 5 here, no 5, so I'm going to write down 1, 5. No x's, 1x, 1x, so I'm going to write down 1x. This is my LCD. The other way you could think about it is, what would my common denominator be? What would I be able to make everything be? I could make all of these denominators be 5x. So I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by 5x. Because if you do it to one side, you got to do it to the other. So 5x. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute to each part here. It's going to go to the numerator, so it's 5x over 5 minus, and I'm going to leave it as 2 times 5x over 5x is equal to 5x over x. Okay, so we did step 2, multiply every term by the LCD. Step 3 says simplify both sides. Okay, so if I go ahead and do this, my 5's will cancel, my 5x's will cancel, and my x's will cancel. So I have x minus 2 equals 5. One thing I would like to point out is if you go ahead and multiply by the LCD and you still have fractions, that means you did not select the correct LCD. So you'd have to go back and look. Okay, so now it's just a nice little simple one-step equation. I would add 2 to both sides, so x is equal to 7. Okay, so our step 4, solve for x. We have x. Now my last thing is to check my answer. You should definitely do this on your quiz or your test, because that way you make sure you have the right answer. So I plug it into the original. I have 1 over 5, so this is my check. So I have 1 over 5 minus 2 over 5 times x, so 5 times 7. We want to know, does that equal 1 over 7? Okay, well this would be 1 over 5 minus 2 over 35. Does that equal 1 over 7? Well, I'd have to get a common denominator here, or you can type it into your calculator and find out. But this would be 7 over 35 minus 2 over 35. Does that equal 1 over 7? Well, this gives you 5 over 35. Does this equal 1 over 7? Yes, it does. So I have the correct answer. Okay. So if you have any questions about example 2, please write them down and make sure you ask when you see me. Now let's go ahead and look at example 3. Example 3, I look at this one and I want to find my LCM, okay, or my LCD. If I have 2x and x, well, what could I make them both be? I would take 1, 2, and they each have an x, so it's 2x. So my LCD is 2x, so I would have 2x, and I multiply both sides by 2x. So you can write it either this way or how I wrote it on the other side. So everything's going to get multiplied by 2x in the numerator. So it's really 2x times x minus 3 over 2x plus 2x times 9 over x is equal to 2x times 2. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and simplify like I did before. My 2x's will cancel out. The x and the x will cancel, and then nothing cancels here. So I am left with x minus 3 plus 2 times 9 is 18 is equal to 2 times 2x gives me 4x. Combine my like terms on the left-hand side, I get plus 15 is equal to 4x. I would subtract x. So I have 15 is equal to 3x. And I will divide both sides by 3. And I get that x is equal to 5. Once again, I want to make sure I have the right answer, so we're going to go through and check. So I would have 5 minus 3 over 2 times 5 plus 9 over 5, and we want to know, does that equal 2? Well, this gives me 2 over 10 plus 9 over 5. Does that equal 2? Common denominator would be getting it to have 10, so I would have 2 over 10 plus 18 over 10. Does that equal 2? 2 plus 18 is 20, so I have 20 over 10. Does 20 divided by 10 equal 2? Yes, it does. Okay, so there is example 3. Example 4. Got to go ahead and find that least common multiple. Okay, so I'm finding the least common multiple in this case for 28, z plus 2, and 4. So I'm going to go ahead and break it all down. 28 is going to break down into 2 times 14 and 2 times 7. The z plus 2 is just going to be z plus 2, and the 4 breaks down into 2 times 2. So my LCM will actually be, there's 2 2's here, and there's 2 2's here, so remember I write down the greatest of number of 2's from each one. Okay, so this one has 2, and this one has 2, so I would write down 2. There's 1 7, there's no 7, so I write down 7. And then there's a z plus 2. Well, that's going to be z plus 2. So 2 times 7 is 28, so my LCM is 28, z plus 2. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply that to my problem. So it's 28, z plus 2. So all the numerators are going to be multiplied by this. Okay, so I have, so we don't run into this, I have 9 times 28 times z plus 2 all over 28 plus 3 times 28 times z plus 2 all over z plus 2. And does that will equal 3 times 28 times z plus 2 all over 4. And now I would simplify. One thing I would like to say is that if some of you are starting to see how everything, if you don't need to write this step and you can just see that your 28s are going to cancel. On this first one, the z plus 2's are going to cancel. And then 28 divided by 4, those are going to cancel. 28 divided by 4 is 7. You don't need to write this step out if you don't feel that you need to. Okay. But if you do, go right ahead. So I'm going to write down what I have. I have 9 times z plus 2 plus 3 times 28. 3 times 28 will be 84. That equals 3 times 7 is 21, and then we got z plus 2. Okay, so I'm going to start simplifying. So I would distribute, so I would have 9z plus 18 plus 84 is equal to 27z plus, I wrote 27, but 3 times 7 is 21, so let's fix that. My bad. This is 21. Okay, so then when I distribute, I'll have 21z plus 42. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms on my left-hand side, so I would have 9z, 18 plus 84 is 102, is equal to 21z plus 42. And now I'm going to solve. I'm going to get all my numbers to one side and all my variables to the other, so I'm going to subtract 9z from the left-hand side. And so then I'm going to subtract 42 from the right-hand side. Those will cancel. 102 minus 42 is going to give me 60, equals 21z minus 9z will be 12z. And if I divide both sides by 12, I will get that z is equal to 5. Okay. Remember, when you're done, plug it back in and check. That is to make sure you have the right answer. I'm not going to do it on this one, but you definitely should do that. Just, even a quick type in your calculator to make sure you have the right answer on your test will help out a lot. Okay. Move on to example 5. All right. We have this one, our example. So our denominators are 6, x minus 2, and 2. So I would say to myself, I'm for sure going to have an x minus 2. Okay. And now I would just say between 2 and 6, what's my least common multiple? What can I get them both to be? Well, I can make 2 be 6, so they can both be 6. Okay. So I would distribute this to my numerators. Okay, so I would have 5 times, okay, now we're going to maybe try and not write it all out this time. I would have 5 times 6 over 6. So my 6's will cancel, and I'll be left with 5 times x minus 2. Plus 2. Now in this case, my x minus 2's will be canceling. So I'd have 2 times 6 equals, now when I look at this piece, it will be 6 divided by 2, so it's going to be 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then I still have the x minus 2. Okay. So I would have 5x minus 10 plus 12 is equal to 3x minus 6. Combine like terms on the left-hand side. Okay. Now I'm going to move everything. Okay, I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. Minus 2 from both sides. So I have that 2x is equal to negative 8. Divide both sides by 2, so x is equal to negative 4. Once again, make sure you do it right on your test. Plug in x equals negative 4 on your calculator to ensure that you have the correct answer. Okay. If you need a break, now would be a good time to pause the video. Okay. And if you have any questions, please write them down. Okay, we have 2 more problems left. So I would recommend that you try 6 and 7 on your own. Okay, so I would really expect you to try these on your own. Make sure you can get them so that when you get to the worksheet, you feel comfortable working on it. So let's look at number 6. Okay, hopefully you've taken the time to try those on your own. So pause the video and do that. So looking at 6, I would have to find my LCM. Okay, well I would say 12 and 48. Well, I can multiply 12 by 4 to get to 48. So I know that my least common denominator would be 48. And then I'm going to have an x minus 4. And then we're going to multiply all the numerators. So I'll write it out this time, and then I won't write out all of it the next time. So I'm going to multiply all the numerators by this, and it's over 12 plus 9 times 48 times x minus 4 all over x minus 4 will equal 55 times 48 times x minus 4 all over 48. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and simplify. 48 divided by 12 is 4. Then my x minus 4s will cancel and my 48s will cancel. So I have 7 times 4, which is 28. Then I have x minus 4 plus 9 times 48 is 432 is equal to 55 times x minus 4. Now I'm going to go ahead and distribute. So I have 28x minus 28 times 4 is negative 112 plus 432 is equal to 55 times x, so 55x, minus 4 times 55 will give me minus 220. Combining like terms on the left-hand side, I have 28x. I add these two together and I get plus 320 is equal to 55x minus 220. Going to subtract 28x from both sides. And I'm going to add 220 to the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So 320 plus 220 is 540. And 55x minus 28x is 27x. And when I divide both sides by 27, I get that x is equal to 20. Okay, so there is example 6. If you have any questions, well, like I said, please write them down. Otherwise, we're going to move on to 7. I hope you also took the time to try example 7 on your own. Okay. So if I look at 7, my least common denominator, I can multiply 4 to 24. 4 times 6 is 24. So my least common denominator would be 24. And then I would have the 3 minus x. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and we're not going to write out the step where we do all this with the canceling with the denominators. We're going to just do this as we go. So if I take this times my numerator here, I'm going to have 5. The 24s will cancel, so I will have 5 times 3 minus x. Plus, now when I do this, I would have 2, because the 2 is going to stay, times 24. But my 3 minus x's this time will cancel. Will equal, okay, 24 divided by 4 will give me 6. And I will have 3 minus x. Now I'm going to go ahead and distribute. So I have 15 minus 5x. 2 times 24 is 48, so plus 48, is equal to 6 times 3, so 18 minus 6x. Combine like terms on the left-hand side, so 15 plus 48, so I'm going to have negative 5x plus 63 is equal to 18 minus 6x. So I am going to go ahead and add 6x to both sides and subtract 63. So I would have x is equal to 18 minus 63 is negative 45. So there is x. And just a reminder, you can easily just type it all into your calculator to make sure it is equal to 1/4. Okay, so I really encourage you to do that. If you have any questions, please write them down, ask me. Otherwise, I will see you later and have a great day.